Hi friends, welcome back. So question for you, which one is it? Markets can remain irrational longer than you can be solvent, or stocks only go up? And that's sort of the question that we're facing today. Take a look at this. This is the headlines. S&P 500 reaches a 5,000 mark, 5,002 mark record for U.S. stocks. So S&P is hitting the record. Plus, we had this today as well, which was the ARM, that's a chip company, it went ludicrous speed today. I think at the peak it was like 62% a day or something like that. Ended up closing 47% up on one day, which is absolutely fantastic if you're in this thing. But this is kind of the question, right? Are we in peak irrationality slash peak tulips? Or is this a new bull market? I want to go over a couple things because I think it's important to talk about. You can see here the markets today were a bit mixed, though. It wasn't that everything was green. Plus, looking at the treasury yields, we're hanging out. Let's see, the 2 years at 4.45 and the 10 years at 4.15. So we're still inverted. It's been like that for a while. But hey, markets can stay irrational longer than you can be solvent. I want to keep pointing this out to you because I think, honestly, the last week, this has been the top headline that's really attracted my eye. This is when Meta had that crazy surge. It was like 20% a day or whatever it was. I can't remember what it was, but I can see in terms of numbers, it was 197 billion. And that was the biggest in stock market history in a single stock. And you can see this, guys, these big moves are all been happening in the last couple of years. You can see it's been Meta, Apple, Amazon, Nvidia, Microsoft, and Tesla. Now, there's another thing that is a interesting indicator as well, is Bitcoin. So remember that ETF thing came out and then it crashed and it has actually recovered. Bitcoin is at 45,000. And this headline really caught my eye. I just want to show you guys everything that I've been looking at today. It says here, BTC price nears 45K amid warning Bitcoin leverage traders in control. There's a account on Twitter that was like, covers this kind of stuff, and they were saying they're looking at $1 billion are coming in leveraged money into Bitcoin, and this is a little bit before the halving. If you follow this stuff, I think it's April 17th, I believe, and essentially they're going to be cutting the mining in half. So we'll see what happens. Again, I pose that question to you. Which one is it? Is it stocks only go up, or in this case, is it Bitcoin only goes up, or is it markets can be irrational longer than you can stay solvent? I'm putting this stuff together with other things that I'm seeing in the market, and you get these weird, discrepancies or, weird contradictory things happening. For example, McKinsey, and if you guys are familiar with this consulting company, this is a sought after job for new, MBAs coming out of business school, or even for undergrads, you want to do that and then, go back to business school, et cetera. But this is one of the prime jobs. Looks like they're going to be probably laying off people. Now, it didn't say officially that it says here, McKinsey places 3,000 staffers on review as economy slow. And it was interesting because Tesla is doing the same kind of thing. We talked about this yesterday, where basically the email went out to managers and said, hey, figure out, who on your team is vital, not vital, and get back to us. And essentially means they're preparing for layoffs. Now, in terms of McKinsey, they had really grown their headcount. So it was saying here, back in 2018, their headcount was 28,000. It's currently at 45,000. And the reason why you track these kind of things is because they're kind of a good indicator, McKinsey is, of our companies, our businesses out there want to hire consulting firms. Do they have the money to do said things? Are they looking to do big mergers or acquisitions or reorganizations in their company? Are they looking to change? At the moment, right, this is all about tightening the belts, right, at companies. Plus, the consulting firms will feel the bulk of this, because essentially these companies rely on other companies. Like McKinsey doesn't really produce anything by itself per se, right? That's what a consulting firm is. And it's actually really interesting because we've been seeing this sort of marketing by Walmart. I've mentioned to you guys before, I'm just mentioning it again, to where we're seeing layoffs at like big tech companies, and yet Walmart's like upping their benefits and pay over there for their managers. So I've talked about this before, guys, several times, to where the unemployment numbers don't necessarily tell the full story. I think essentially you're going to have a lot of the tech banking jobs are going to be cooling off, a lot of layoffs there. And yes, you may have openings in retail or in healthcare and stuff like that, but you may have a job, just not necessarily the one that you wanted or planned on. Pricing houses still remain elevated, and there's another issue. And for those of you who are new to market, stuff like that, the reason why we track this stuff is, say you're watching, Apple stock, just for example, or Tesla stock, right? Any kind of consumer product. You need consumers to buy said product. So therefore, you need consumers to have a job. You need consumers to have enough money in their bank accounts to, buy said things. And you have consumers being able to have access to available credit. It turns out, and this just came out, this is February 7, 2024, credit card debt is at a new high. What is it? 1.13 trillion. And there's a couple things going on. So one is people are maxing out their cards. Two, interest rates are high. This was saying here, it says, in addition to a record high balance, right? So people's balances are high. Average credit card APRs reached a new high of 21.47%. That is the average credit card APR. So if the average is 21, let that sink in. The average is 21. That means you might have people paying like 30 even, maybe some people are like more in the, better end, more like 10 say, but which isn't great. But I was just like, average of 21.47. So all these things together make me like, okay, what the heck is going on? Now, moreover, we've had these wild earnings reports this past earnings season. Essentially, companies are saying, hey, this is what we're doing. This is what we're thinking about going on in the future. And you get these crazy double-digit moves in the stock market. So there's a couple I want to talk with you about and just share my opinions on this stuff. So first one is Disney. You can see here, this is the headlines. Disney shares notch best day in more than 3 years after earnings bonanza. And the big announcement that they made was they're going to be, I think they're buying a stake. I don't know if it's acquiring. It just says CEO Bob Iger said the company, to my Epic Games here, 1.5 billion stake. So I don't think they're just buying outright. So they're going to be getting into video games and stuff like that. If you don't know, Epic's been having a legal fight with Apple. Now, in terms of stock, and this is something that I mentioned to you guys before with this kind of stuff, is when you're looking at something like a Disney, good news is you're definitely not buying at the top if you're getting into this thing, right? And whether or not it comes back, it remains to be seen. The pros of Disney, you would say, hey, it's got strong branding. They have a portfolio of brands that we all know. They have their theme park, plus they have their cruise ships, plus they have the merchandising, all their entertainment media, et cetera. And now they're getting into video games. They've been aggressively cutting jobs. The negatives of Disney would be they have a lot of employees on staff, so they're very sensitive to any kind of wage hikes. Mean they have to pay their people more. Other negatives would be their kind of company, their kind of business is discretionary, right? So if consumers aren't going to take any vacations to Disney or not going to take that cruise ship or not going to go to the movies, Disney takes a hit. Moreover, they spend a ton of money on their streaming, so they're going to try to cut back on that. So, but again, the good news is that at least you're not at the top. Another one that had released earnings was PayPal, and the headline is kind of crazy. PayPal sees flat profit in transition year as shares fall. I read through what the CEO was saying, and it was nothing inspiring to me. So, and honestly, I don't think we need PayPal, and I'm not like dissing PayPal thing. Just like, imagine a world without PayPal. Would it be that different? Probably not. Like, is PayPal necessary to the functions of what we do? Now, I'd be curious your guys' thoughts if you're huge PayPal fans, huge PayPal users. The other worry with PayPal is if Apple and Google are going to be getting into this space and essentially rubbing them out. We'll see. I was looking at the stock of PayPal, and this is like essentially a tale of two different stocks. It's similar to PayPal and Disney. You can take a look at it like for the chart for yourself. It's like, you guys can all see the spike up and then the spike down. But companies like PayPal, I don't think they're necessarily guaranteed to come back. It's down about 80% on the year, and I don't know. Give me a reason. I guess I'll put it this way. If you're into this thing, give me a reason why PayPal has to exist. Like, give me a reason why, like why I can't live without it. I don't remember the last time I used PayPal. I just don't. But that's just me. And I think, like, for example, eBay used to be a big thing for them, but I think they really are not quite as prevalent over there as they once were. Other news in the market as well. This is actually a really big one. I'll read the headline for you guys. J&J, Merck, and Bristol-Myers CEOs defend high drug prices in Senate hearing as Biden tries to cut costs. So this has actually been a issue for a while. There's always been rumors that the Biden administration is going to come in and try to essentially eat at the profits of the drug companies. It hasn't happened yet. The drug lobby is very strong in the USA. But we'll see, because according to this, and I don't follow this story that much because it doesn't pop up that much. We talk about other things all the time. We're talking about war and the Tucker Carlson thing, which I'm sure you guys saw in the news like that. So I knew this was going on. Just haven't seen any news on this one recently. Basically, though, my personal opinion on, say, like drug stocks or pharmaceuticals, I think this is a defensive play essentially. People don't stop buying drugs. They don't, like, they need this stuff to live essentially. However, with that said, they did give major statistics to where, like, if costs are too much, it's something around the range of, let's say, 9% of people just can't afford their things that they actually really, really need in terms of prescription drugs. So that certainly is a problem. Now, my personal opinion on this stuff, and I've shared you guys before, we live in Korea, and I can just tell you, pharmaceutical drugs, right, are ridiculously affordable compared to USA. I mean, like an order of 100 times different. And when you see it for yourself, you're like, yep, he's not kidding. Plus, I mean, all of our medical systems are much, much less. Now, in the USA, it's just, there's so much profit to be made on this stuff. So if anything ever went through, yes, it would definitely hurt these kind of companies' profitability. And that's my thoughts on that kind of stuff. So we'll see what happens or not. I wish this was a bigger issue in USA, but I understand more people, if you search social media, more people are concerned about what kind of movies Disney's are making and stuff like that. For me, I'd rather see these kind of stuff. I think it's important. But anyway, that's my thoughts. So love to hear your thoughts on these things. What do you think about the layoffs? What do you think about the markets? Are we at peak tulips, or do stocks only go up and we're going to be hitting to 6,000 in S&P 500? Yes, could we go from 5 to 6? I'd like to hear your opinion on that one. And thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next video.